Yvette Jones Swanson. I am a national veterans homeless housing advocate and consultant, and I'm also a realtor, a veterans realtor of 26 years. I know, I don't look my age, but my eyes can tell. So today's program, we're going to talk about some key topics around homeless veterans. Now, I've been serving homeless, unhoused veterans for the past 22 consecutive years as a realtor. As a realtor, what a lot of real estate professionals don't understand is that housing homeless veterans in our community is a transaction. We're doing a great thing. Don't get me wrong. We are doing a great thing. For those of the realtor community that know how to house homeless veterans, we're doing a great thing. I hear it all the time. We don't need, it should not be homeless veterans. No, and those two words should never go together. Never. I was a homeless female veteran, and it was not an easy plight. So today's show is understanding veteran homelessness, discharges, life skills, and community resources. Let me put this right here so that I can read and look at you at the same time. So, in this insightful video, we delve into the critical issues of veterans' homelessness, specifically focusing on the circumstances surrounding the discharge of homeless veterans from the military. We'll explore why some veterans find themselves in this challenging situation and life skills that many young veterans lack upon leaving service. Join us as we discuss the experiences of retired veterans who face homelessness and shine a light on veterans who have been affected by domestic violence, leading them to a life on the streets. We'll also highlight various subsidies, resources, and benefits available to support these vulnerable groups. Finally, we'll provide an overview of community resources that play a vital role in assisting homeless veterans, offering hope and pathways to stability. So don't miss this important conversation that aims to raise awareness and foster understanding of the challenges by our veterans, and your support can make a difference. I want to thank you all for watching. Hi, Mama, watching you from Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. I'm in Chicago, Illinois. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am a national veterans homeless housing advocate and consultant. And I'm also a realtor. I've been a realtor for 26 years, and I've been serving in the homeless veterans community space for 22 consecutive years. Why do I do that? It it baffles me sometimes too, because I see a lot of my realtor colleagues who are, um, I mean, they're doing it really, really big. Working in commercial real estate, working in luxury upscale real estate, working in what is it called when you do real estate out of the country. I'm like, oh my God, they are really doing big things. And then I say, I'm housing homeless veterans. And it perplexes them too, because they wonder, how do you get paid? How do you get paid housing homeless people? Homeless people don't have any money. So, who's allowing these homeless people to live in their properties with no money? Well, that's not the case. Let me see with my glasses. Okay, there's a lot of homeless veterans, and always watch them on YouTube. It really is. That's good. You're helping veterans. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is. I was a homeless female veteran between 87 to 93. And this is going to bring us into our first topic. And our first topic is the insights of this video specifically will be on talking about young veterans, and that's the key word for this first topic, surrounding the discharge of homeless veterans from the military. We will explore some veterans, why some veterans find themselves in challenging situations, specifically life skills that many young veterans lack upon leaving the service. I left the service when I wasn't even 21 yet. I left the service early as a female veteran because um, I was being raped, raped, raped by my drill sergeant. They call it now military sexual trauma, and I'm 18. What life skills did I have? I just left home. I was just out of my first, did I do a full year or a semester? I think I did no, 1 semester, 2 semesters. I think I did 1 year in college I um before I went to basic training. So I had delayed entry. And it's like no soon as I got to basic training, here comes a predator. And I was not aware of anything like this. All of my brothers were in the military and they were great men. They were great big brothers to me. So I'm thinking all military men are this way. But it turned out that no, no. And my brothers didn't warn me of military men taking advantage of young women. I'm 18. Oh, and I never told my big brothers or my mom until late in life. I was in my 50s when I told them. But when I got out of the military, supposed to have been being discharged with the medical because I had high anxiety. I wonder why. And my heart went out. It and hello, thank you for your. I can't even see. I apologize, but I don't want to keep my glasses on because of the glare. Hello, thank you for your info and work. Oh, it is my pleasure. I would like to learn more to help. Oh, good. Stay on Louisiana because we will talk about that. I have a lot of publications on on Amazon and also on my website. As a matter of fact, while we're on this topic, let me just show you. These are some of my publications. So, housing veterans as an entrepreneur in Georgia, but this book also teaches you how to find what you need in any state. Finding home. You want to house veterans, you have to learn the veteran culture, and not just the veteran culture, but the homeless veteran culture. So, this book, Finding Home, will really help you dive into that. This on Amazon. And also for social workers, case managers, human care professionals, that's your police officers, your first responders. You get to a veteran and they're like going berserk and you're like, "Oh, take him to jail." No, no, they don't need to be in jail. Veterans become unhinged because of what happened to us in the military. And then when we get out of the military, things go awry, like take them to jail. That's not the answer. Get the books, and this will teach you social workers, especially um, the police and those first responders, how to respond to veterans who you think is a threat. And I have a veteran I'm working with. He had TBI when he left the military. And then this book is for Chicago. This I'm about to release this book um, maybe next week. And this book right here, this book is for realtors. Um, and I just got hired to teach this course. It is an approved course by the IDFPR. That's the Illinois Department Financial Regulations and Professionals, something like that. So this is a 3-hour approved CE course, and it is a certificate. And that's me. I am Yvette Jones Swanson. So you can find my publications, and then you can also hire me because I'm also a consultant. My company, Vet Mentors, is SBA certified and VA verified. One moment, please, while I look at my glasses. I spent 5 years in the military, also went to Baghdad and Iraq. Wasn't easy life. I feel you. Incredibly eye-opening. How can we advocate for more resources? That's where you hire me and we work together and we bring I show you how to bring the resources and how to find resources in your community. Love the message. How can we communities? Oh, please hire me. I want to travel. I want to help every city, every state because this is nationally. That's why my title is National Homeless Veterans Housing and Consultant. This book, The Realtor's Blueprint, oh my God, I had to go through this book again yesterday. And I'm like, this spills all the beans, everything on how to service homeless veterans in your area. So, a young veteran who is getting out of the military, I'm working with one now. I did a post about him yesterday. He's been out since 3/28/2025. Young veteran, he fulfilled his contract of 6 years. He went in when he was, what, 18, and now he's 24. He's never had a lease before. He's never owned anything. At 18, he moved from his parents' house to enlist into the military. So now, unfortunately, when he gets out of the military, there's no home for him to go to. There are no parents anymore. That's why he became homeless. When he went to the VA and to tell them, hey, he's homeless, I'm homeless, they gave him my number to call me so I can solve the problem for him. Do you know what the problem that needed solving? I'll tell you the solutions that I provided for him as a homeless veteran who discharged homeless at 23, 24. He never filled out an application for an apartment before. He's never owned a house. So I'm like, okay, first of all, where are you staying? He's like, look, anywhere that I can. He was with his dad for a while, but his dad has a new woman and he's a grown man. And you know how people get maybe the woman and or the dad, whatever, but it wasn't a comfortable situation for him. So I'm like, okay, are you receiving a check every month from anywhere? He said, no, ma'am. So that means when you left the Air Force, you left your job, right? So now you're unemployed. He said, yeah, but I'm looking for work. I said, so you're unemployed? He said, yes, ma'am. Hmm. Okay, so unemployment. Okay. Have you submitted a claim for your disabilities? What happened to you while you were in the military? Why do you feel you are disabled? What happened? Give me your story. He's got some disability claims that he needs to put in. We are, one moment, please. We are the biggest barriers veterans face when transitioning back. Or what are the biggest barriers veterans face when transitioning back into civilian life? This is the story. Thank you so much, Ryan Pride, for asking that question. So when a civilian transitions back into no, when a veteran transitions back into civilian life, there are no life skills for young veterans, particularly. They don't know how to search for an apartment. If they have the funding for an apartment, okay, then they can probably find a realtor who's knowledgeable to work with veterans or who is like, okay, I can help you because I can help you find a rental, provided you have good credit, a credit check can be ran. There are no backgrounds, negative in your criminal record. You don't have any evictions, and you can show 3 times the amount of rent. That's what typically happens. And for a veteran who transitions back to civilian life with no job and no disability compensation, then they can't say they have current income. A realtor is not looking at how much you used to make. A realtor has to confirm how much you're currently making to make sure you qualify for the apartments. So, transitioning back into civilian life, I would suggest veterans submit claims for disability before transitioning out. Before PCSing, before being discharged, before retiring. It happens the same to veterans who retire, for instance. And there's a video in my on this channel with the person who retired after 37 years of service. He retired homeless. You want to know why? Are there organizations offering mental health support specifically for homeless veterans? Yes, everywhere. And you got to get my books on Amazon because I show you how to find everything. But let me finish this before I lose my train of thought, and then I'll come back and address that question, Anita. And thank you so much for asking. So, this particular veteran had retired after 37 years of service and he was coming home to where he enlisted, and he enlisted in Chicago, but he retired from a duty station in the DMV, one of them. He told me, I forgot. So when he retired and came back to Chicago, truckload of everything. He had everything in that truck and he had no place to put it. So they had to put everything in the U-Haul facility to store everything. While he stayed in motels, in a timeshare that he has in Sheridan, Illinois, more motels. He tried staying with his grown brother who was married, but they clashed, and he's a grown man in his 60s who retired after 37 years of service as an E8 Master Sergeant unhoused because he tells me, he said, Yvette, don't say I was homeless. That's a negative connotation. Okay, he was unhoused, staying in motels and timeshares. When he was introduced to me by a lender from Loan Depot, he said, Yvette, you have to talk to him. He's been around for 11 months, retired, unhoused. I'm like, not on my watch. So I get him on the phone, and I am a realtor. I've been a realtor for 26 years, and I've been housing homeless veterans for the past 22 consecutive years. And I've housed over 5,000 homeless veterans, and they keep coming nationwide. And I'll show you how to help them in your city, your state, your area, or hire me to come and train everybody. So I got him on the phone and I did a quick assessment of what was going on in his world. And I got the understanding of his income. I got the thank you so much for the love. Got the understanding of his credit. And he had savings, that was dwindling because he was spending it on motels and food and buying more stuff because everything he had was in storage and it was a nightmare. So I said, okay, let's go ahead. The lender who you saw today will go ahead and see about getting you pre-approved right away. Got him pre-approved the same night. And the next day, because he had a list of houses already written down, he supplied me with that list. I entered each and every house address into the MLS to get information on the house to see if it was a viable, suitable property for his VA loan and for him, based on what he described me, based on what was in the U-Haul, based on the vehicle that he drove, and based on his need. One moment, please. How can employers be encouraged to hire homeless if formerly homeless veterans? Okay, I am going to come back to that after I answer Anita's um, question. I'll see if I can. mm, that's a good one, Bradley. That's a real good one. Okay, so this gentleman, we went under contract of the first house and fell through because it needed too much work. The second one, I'm like, this is it. It was a three-story townhome and it was beautiful. So we went under contract and he was able to purchase that house. After 37 years of being homeless, he met one realtor who took him on a string of things for 11 months and couldn't even rent him an apartment. I sold him a house. I sold him a house because it's when you're working with people, and I'm going to just say people first, because veterans, we have the icing on the cake. We come with benefits, but how do we access those benefits in order to use those resources? That's where the bottleneck comes in. And I know how to do that. But it's getting to know the person. Hold on. Let me come back because I could talk forever and I was only supposed to be on for 15 minutes a day. Are there organizations offering mental health support specifically for homeless veterans? Okay, so in my Chicago book, in this Chicago book, we talk about, oh, what's in my table of contents? Oh, we talk about, put it this way, federal, state, local. Then you have your, wait, federal, state, city, and then you have your um, county, or county, then city. Then you have your philanthropies. Then you have your social service organizations. Then you have your churches and religious organizations. Then you have your VFWs and oh, American Legions. So it's a lot of organizations in everybody's community, in everybody's back door. And then that's where another bottleneck comes in because then it's getting to the person who you need to connect this homeless veteran to. Oh. So I write a lot of books because it's a lot of information and there's no time under the sun for me to just tell everything in alive ever. Like this class for the Realtor's Blueprint, the Veteran's Path to Home, navigating from homelessness to home ownership. This is a 3 to 6 hour course, depending on how much information we'll get through, and depending on who's going to read the book in its entirety before the course, the live. So I would suggest, really, I would suggest you really want to learn about the homeless veteran community, and we're tight knit too. It's like you were homeless. Oh, we start sharing homeless stories. I kid you not. I kid you not. They're survival stories. And a lot of that is broken down into how now does that veteran perceive life? What is life? What does life look like after homelessness? Um, one moment, please. How can employers be encouraged to hire homeless or formerly homeless veterans? Well, put it this way, Bradley Pump. Thanks for asking that question. I was a homeless female veteran, and a lot of times, the only thing that's standing in between housing and homelessness is a job, is the financial resources. When a veteran discharges from the military, they have a resume, they have a history of working in a structured environment, in an environment that creates leadership and hard work and dedication. And that's the only thing that's standing in front of being homeless and being housed is that job or their service connection disability pay. So let me see, what was it? How can employers be encouraged to hire home? Yeah, that's all they have to know. A person uh, who is a veteran doesn't want to be homeless. A person who is a veteran doesn't know all of the resources, all of the benefits that will supply those resources. We just don't know. When I was 18 and I was fortunate enough to come back to my parents' house because I just left and then I went back to college and then came back to my parents' house and my daddy died. And my mother was like, "Shoot, I'm out of here." And it's a young 20-year-old at this time. I'm only 20. I never filled out an application. My benefits were denied, so I didn't have service connection disability pay. So I had no income. I had no resources. So I did get a job at a bank, um, and I met a guy who was actively in the military. And I'm like, I just love the military. All of my brothers were Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So, Marines. And I met this other Marine, and he just happened to be the worst guy ever. We got married and he was very abusive. So now I am in a domestic violent marriage as a veteran. So I would go to the VA and tell them I need help. I'm 20. At that time I was 21 because I remember celebrating my birthday at a bar with him and another woman who I figured that was his side piece because we were married. Oh God, Jesus, when I think about it. But I had no resources. I had finished a 2-year associate's degree and I had enrolled into getting my bachelor's degree. But still, I'm a homeless female veteran. Every time he would fight me, beat me up, I would run away. And I would be gone for 2, 3 nights, sometimes a week, just here and there and anywhere because I never had any place to go. Nobody wants a homeless veteran, a homeless female veteran, a homeless person, period. But what stands between us and housing is a job or our benefits for housing and or our service connected disabled compensation, which has to be 80, 90 to 100% in order for us to even be able to pay rent. Because if a person is a veteran is a 10%, Disabled veteran, they're getting maybe $200 a month. You can't live anywhere with that. So now, let's say, I'm glad we're here. Let's say, oh, let me read. One moment, please. Are there organizations offering mental health? Yeah. So you can find mental health if you go to the va.gov website and type in mental health, and they may even ask what city and state. And the VA, they'll have some health groups, groups. It's a lot of groups. So what the veteran would have to enroll, they have to be able to receive um, medical services from the VA, because all veterans, and that's another thing, don't even qualify for medical, because you have to enroll and you have to submit a claim for your benefits. Otherwise, you don't get any. The VA does not knock on your door, nor do they send a letter, nor do they make a phone call and say, "Hey, and we know you're out of the military, so we want to send you this list of all the resources that you can get, of all the benefits that you may um, benefit from, or you qualify for." No, they don't do that. They don't. If you don't apply for what you need, you're not going to get it. A homeless veteran can go to, I don't even know why I say this, but a homeless veteran can and should go to the VA, the homeless walk-in. And that's where, that's why I wrote this book for social workers and case managers and human care professionals, because of the way, oh God, Jesus, I don't want to, every time I think about the way we are treated, I get upset, I get angry, and I just want to cry, because those emotions are so strong because of the way homeless veterans are treated at the VA level. I'm not even talking about on the streets. I'm talking about at the VA level. I've been housing homeless veterans for 22 consecutive years. And I believe it's the most important job I have ever done in my life. I have a master's degree. I've worked in corporate America as a corporate trainer, as an instructional designer, hence the publications and um, my real estate license. I am a licensed real estate instructor. I can teach nationally. So this class here is a national real estate class. So if you're affiliated with the board, you're a realtor, you are whoever you want me to come and teach, just let me know, and the license can go to your board to provide that 3 hour CE to the realtors who take the course. I wrote this book for case managers and social workers and human care professionals because of the treatment that they put on veterans. And this book is on Amazon. Are there any apps or platforms helping veterans contact to resources quickly? No. What's the success rate of programs aimed at ending veteran homelessness? The what's the None, because it is a revolving door. We have veterans who discharge every single day from the military nationwide. Homeless. We have veterans who are currently homeless. But because there's no cohesiveness and of knowledge sharing, because the knowledge isn't there. I know too. Go look at my other videos, the video that I did when I was at the state of Illinois, the capital. We went there for realtors, um, mm, when we talk about different policies and bills that are being passed in the real estate market. And I said, I'm going to ask these other realtors, do you know how to house a homeless veteran? Go watch that video. Every single one of them said no, or no, I do not, or no, but I want to learn. I'm not surprised. I stopped working with realtors a long, long time ago. Thank you. Great show. Such an important topic being covered here. Yes. Yes, it is. And thank you for saying that, Branson. I really appreciate your listening ears because this is all I ever wanted to share is how we can care for our people, how we can care for veterans who have cared for us all of these days of our lives. Veterans protect the world. Service people, current serving, the military protects the world. So, as a veteran, nobody is protecting us, and that's why there's so much homelessness amongst veterans because nobody is protecting us. I'm going to read some of what's in my book, and this book is on Amazon. It's a collaborative housing solutions for homeless veterans. Let me read. Oh, I got to put on my glasses. Let me see. Watching live and learning. Oh, thank you so much. And learning so much. I know, right? So I'm going to talk to the realtors right now. Um, should I talk to the realtors right now? No, I'm going to stick with the social workers, and I'm going to show you. Is this the? Yeah, this is the one. I got a phone call 11 years ago because he won't let me forget that it's been 11 years, Yvette, since he's been living in this condominium downtown Chicago. This book is on Amazon, and who you just saw is Mr. Wilson. He called me 11 years ago and said he's a homeless veteran, uh, and he's in a wheelchair and he lives in a U-Haul facility. I'm going to read his story real quick, okay? And this was also put in the Main Street Realtors on the website. Yvette Jones, that's me, realtor in South Cook County. Mr. Wilson was a homeless, disabled Coast Guard veteran living in a U-Haul trailer in Wrigleyville community in the Chicagoland area. I had a hard time locating him suitable housing that would accommodate his motorized wheelchairs and other equipment that he uses daily. Housing providers required many credit checks, background checks, and eviction checks, creating numerous fees charged to Mr. Wilson and the U.S. government. Interstage left, a private landlord willing to provide housing for Mr. Wilson. 10 years later, this is when anyway, it's in the book. Mr. Wilson is thriving. His health has greatly improved, and he has resumed participating in revived hobbies and interests. He he's a shot put. Shock, how do you say it with the big stick? He throws that from his wheelchair. This is Mr. Wilson now. I found him a condominium downtown Chicago. Now, I didn't use another realtor. I'm like, they're useless. Because as soon as I say I'm working with a veteran who is homeless, homeless, how are they going to pay the rent? What are they going to do? Come and tear up the place? Are they going to go crazy? I'm like, oh my God, please calm down and no, and no, and no. They don't do that. These are people who we need a place to live so we can thrive. So I found this condominium. I went on Craigslist and I just started sifting through. messages, and I found one that the person said he wanted a roommate in a two-bedroom condo downtown Chicago. I said, "Hey, let's talk about this." So we talked about it. I'm asking him key questions, and he was like, "Well, I don't know you from Eve, Adam and Eve." I'm like, "That's cool. Well, let's get to know me. Here's my website. Here's more information about me. Here's some recommendation letters." Okay, so it went from emailing to texting to getting on the phone. "Look, you're taking too long. Just meet me at the VA. I want to introduce you to the veteran who I'm speaking about, Mr. Wilson. And I also want to introduce you to his social worker." And there's also a letter that his social worker wrote is in this book as well. So the gentleman came to the VA, and he met Mr. Wilson and the social worker and me for the very first time. And everybody sat in that room and we just cried. 'Cause as you see, Mr. Wilson is in his condominium downtown Chicago, fully furnished with the doorman. And another thing that he needed, part of his resources, part of his benefits, was a housekeeper, somebody to come to take care of him. 3 days a week, 4 days a week, clean up, spruce up the place, sit and talk to him, go downstairs and get his mail, or take him downstairs, walk and talk, go for a walk with, do whatever. Mr. Wilson, he's a cool dude. There's a video of Mr. Wilson on here as well. I saw him in the VA, and he said, "Hey, Mr. Wilson." He said, "Hey, Vet." So that's Mr. Wilson. So then I got the first call from Mr. Wilson. I'm like, I have a place that is on the first floor, and you can probably will yourself up in there. It's not, ADA. He said, "I can stand up on this, the stilts on the arm." But for me, that place, it was not suitable for Mr. Wilson. I, I'm a realtor and I get paid for my real estate services. The landlords pay me for bringing them tenants, and I do all the paperwork, the lease, the disclosures, the application, make sure they have all of their documentation. I create a tenant folder and a relationship with these landlords because I've housed over 5,000 homeless veterans. So I've created thousands of relationships with landlords, property owners, and property managers. So the first apartment, I said, "Mr. Wilson, you're safer in that U-Haul facility in Wrigleyville, right across from the Cubs stadium. That over there would be a death wish. So I'm gonna just keep looking. But you hold tight, okay, Mr. Wilson? I'm not gonna forget about you. I'm gonna find you something." So he said, "Okay." I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't find it was 6 months. Oh God, Jesus. And his social worker, whose letter is in the book, um, called me up and said, um, "Yvette, I have a veteran and we're having a hard time housing him. Um, and look, whatever you can do, please help us." They had He had a social worker, and I'm going to read her letter. That's also in the same book. The social worker at Jesse Brown VA, she's retired since then, but she was a wonderful social worker. She tried really, really hard. She embraced the education that I gave them early, early on when this housing bill was reenacted by former President Barack Obama. Because before that, there was no Homeless Veterans Act. It had been um, It had been taken away. I don't know which president took it away, but it was taken away. And then when it was brought back, all of these homeless veterans came out like oh, insects coming just from everywhere, everywhere. It was unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. And I was a pioneer when that happened, and still a pioneer. But I said, Marjorie, it's you, the social worker. There's a case manager um, on the team that also they also have housing locators, and they're a Section 8 CHA. Four, four, four people looking for him someplace to live. But she calls me back, and I said, you know what? I'm, whew, I can't. I said, I stayed up that entire night. The sun came up in the morning, and I stayed up and I made my kids some breakfast because I was working from home as a realtor. I'll tell you that story later. Made them breakfast, got them ready for school, and came back to my laptop and found this guy who had this condo downtown Chicago with the doorman, and we engaged in conversation. And Mr. Wilson eventually moved in that condominium after 6 months of calling me. Well, first time I said, no, I have no place and I'm going to keep looking. And all these other homeless veterans kept coming, coming, coming. So I would think about them, but I still didn't have anything until that day when Marjorie called me. That set fire. I need housing and financial resources. I just got that message from another homeless female veteran. That set fire under me, and I said, he can't stay homeless, not on my watch. So he's still living there, and he says, Yvette, y'all go watch that video of Mr. Wilson. I'm going to repost it so you can go watch it. He said, Yvette, I tell these veterans, but they don't want to listen to me. So I'm like, Mr. Wilson, it's okay. So here's the letter from Mr. Wilson, social worker, and thank you all for being here. Homeless veterans are so dear to my heart that I just want to now share um, their journeys and stories and how you can support them as well. So Marjorie's letter is also in the book. She was Mr. Wilson's social worker when he was there. What a great book. So nice to see Thomas again. He looks great. Side note, prior to living in the storage facility, he was living with his brother who would get drunk, high, and almost daily would threaten Thomas with a baseball bat or other available weapon. Remember, Mr. Thomas was in a wheelchair. Under those circumstances, living in a U-Haul seemed infinitely safer. Thank you for noting that wheelchair accessibility housing is difficult to find. The CHA database notes ADA compliant apartments as long as the doorways are wide enough and the countertops are the right height. So I would call and ask the manager to close their eyes and describe each step of entering the apartment and so on. ADA, that's accept, let me see, uh, Disability Act. It'll come to me. Doesn't take into consideration the elevators are 8 steps up from the lobby. They don't. Landlords, she said, landlords. We had one who only met with case managers dressed in very tight t shirts and short shorts. He came on to anyone with female genitalia and actually loaned one of our female vets money in hopes of trading the payments for sex. I also had one who took it upon herself to let herself into the vet's apartment to check on his drinking habits. I had to explain to her that she was violating the law by doing so. And if you're still here, please subscribe to my channel. And then Marjorie goes on to say, I was negotiating a rental with the landlord and said several times that my vet would not be able to pass a credit check. And she kept insisting. So I said we needed to leave to go look at another apartment. Her husband interrupted and agreed to rent to my vet without the credit check. I love this guide. You are a genius. These workshops will be a godsend for case managers. That's in the book. Such a power. Oh, thank you. Excellent show. Hope more people join in and take action. Thank you. So grab my books on Amazon. I'm going to share another story with you. She's also in the book. I housed her two times. Two times. And her videos are also on the book in the book. Can veterans access housing benefits even if they've been yes. Yes. And yes. Oh, so even if they've been home, yes. Yes, because the benefits still apply. They just have to get the benefits to utilize the resources. So this, I'm going to read this right quick. Um, Case study: supporting a homeless senior female veteran, Walker. Her name is Walker. 75 years old, Army retired, served 3 tours of duty, deployments in Desert Storm, recipient of 2 bronze medals. She's 100% service connected disability compensation, and she has Social Security benefits. Her current situation: unhoused, seeking assistance from a homeless walk in center. So she used to live with her son who has a wife, and his wife never liked her, and she would mistreat her, take advantage of her. She bought her a car, and she said she was nice. She said, I was just trying to be nice so she could be nice to me. So it never worked out. So eventually she moved, and she had a place, and somebody broke in the same day. So she moved to another building, and that unit was infested with roaches. She was like, I can't live like this. So she went to a friend's house because her friend said, you can come and stay here until, whatever. So she was sleeping on the couch. And the daughter didn't like her. So the daughter was mistreating her, and she thought she was putting um, things that shouldn't go in her food. And so she went to the VA, homeless walk in. And they sent her back out with a piece of paper with my name on the top and other realtors and management companies underneath. And she called me first, and I answered the phone. And she said she's a homeless senior female vet. So I'm like, okay, what are you working with? I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer. She's 100% service connected. You got some money. You have some money saved up. You got some money. Because when we go get an apartment, you're gonna have to pay something. So how much do you have in? So she told me. I said, okay, good. Oh, push him up, push him up. So I contacted a few of my owners, and one of them said, yeah, I have a 2 bedroom. That'll be real nice for her. It's on the first floor. And I said, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that unit. I rented all of those to veterans with wheelchairs. So I said, that'll be perfect. So she moved in. We helped her. My nephew and I, we took her to Walmart, and she got everything. Over $700 worth of stuff: food and pillows and a blow up mattress, everything. Um, the next day I called her. She said, oh, okay, I'm doing okay. Okay, I'm still. I'm like, okay, okay, good, good. That night I get text messages from the owner sending me, showing me pictures of her outside in her panties and bra and robe. I'm like, it's cold outside. What the heck? and all these bags down on the ground. And I'm like, this isn't. So I called and she didn't answer. So the lady upstairs, two flat, the lady upstairs said, I'm gonna call 911. I said, tell her not to call 911. We'll be there. Is she bleeding? Is she, that's not a 911 situation. We get there and she was having an episode. So I didn't call 911. These are the numbers we call: 988, Veterans Crisis Line. They knew how to handle that. So they sent the ambulance and came and got her. And we went with her to the hospital until like 1 o'clock in the morning. They kept her and the hospital. I'm like, she needs to go to, okay, I'll answer that, to the VA. They said, well, we can't take her to the VA tonight. But instead, a few days later, they took her to a mental institution way on the north side of Chicago. She spent 21 or 22 days there. They discharged her homeless because the landlord said, I can't deal with this. She can't be outside naked with garbage and stuff on her. She can't do that. So she wasn't ready for that type of living. So she called me back after the VA released her homeless. And I said, okay, I know what you need. You need to be around people. Well, I don't want to go to a senior citizen building. I'm like, let me take you over here. And I took her, she's looking around. It was really nice. And there's a video of where she currently lives in that senior suites apartment with additional services and resources for seniors. So she's now thriving. But how was I able to do both things? Because she wasn't going to be homeless on my watch. That's no, that's a big fat no. And how I was able to do that is in these books. It teaches you everything I know. I would suggest getting the book for case managers and social workers and finding home. Okay, what's the next question? Can veterans yes, veterans can access housing benefits even if they've been, they need to go to the homeless walk-in and hopefully they are equipped with helping him because even if he was to get um, a voucher, HUD VASH, Housing Urban Development Veteran Assisted Supportive Housing, it's a Section 8 voucher specifically for veterans, and he was to get that voucher. Well, now, it could take anywhere from 2 to 6 to 8 weeks for him to go into his new apartment because that's how long it takes for that process with Section 8. The unit has to be inspected, it has to pass inspection, then the RTA, that's the request for tenant approval, they go through it with fine tooth comb. The owner he gets a background check, so that's more time, and it just takes time. And that veteran is waiting and still homeless until that apartment passes inspection. Hopefully, everything else is lined up where the veteran has more resources within probably an SSVF organization like a Catholic Charities or what's another national one? Red Cross or your local organizations that provide additional resources for homeless veterans to pay a security deposit or non-refundable move-in fee, or they can donate and bring him some furniture because he doesn't have any, and furnishings, light bill, gas bill. How do they know how to turn it on, especially a young veteran who just got out? An old veteran, they need to get light bill, gas bill, bills in their names too. So all of this needs to take place. What role does trauma play in veteran homelessness? Oh, that's a real good question. Trauma. What role does trauma play? Oh, just to answer that sentence with the same word. It's traumatic. It's mental stress. It's anxiety. It's it's anger. It's depression. It's in some cases hopelessness. What role does trauma play in veteran homelessness? And how can we address that? By sitting down with the homeless veteran and hearing their story. But I like to start, let me tell you where I like to start with the homeless veteran. And I tell them straight up because I was a homeless veteran too. I'm a veteran and we like to talk. And specifically, we like to tell our story because it's like no other. There's no two veterans that um, that that were in the same story. We're individuals. So, but all we so we like to talk. But where I start with the homeless veteran is, listen, I'm going to give you all the time you need to tell me your story. But what I need to know from you first is this. And what do I need to know about that homeless veteran? 'Cause I'm going to hear the stories. I want to hear the stories because that helps me navigate solutions in my mind to pull out resources to sit right on his lap. So the first thing is, how did you become homeless? What happened? Okay, so I was discharged 3/28/25, and I came back to Chicago, hoping to move back in with my dad until I get my benefits started. I've already applied. Good. Okay, so right now, where are you living? Anywhere, here or there. What happened to you staying with your dad? He's got a new woman, and things were uncomfortable. Understandable. Do you have any money coming in? I'm looking for jobs right now. Okay, let me ask you this question again. Do you have any money coming in? Is anybody sending you any checks every week, every 2 weeks, every once a month? No. Okay. Hmm. So now you are homeless and unemployed, and you've applied for your service connection. You put in claims for your disability. Good. Okay. First things first. You need some money. What's the fastest way to money in his situation? The fastest way to money in this homeless Air Force veteran, about 23, 24 years young, situation is he needs to apply for the discussion is truly inspiring. Keep it going. Oh, right. Okay, I will. Thank you. He needs to apply for unemployment compensation. He no longer works for the US government. His job ended when he was discharged. His contract ended when he was discharged. So when he was discharged, they gave him, a few thousands, a few, that's it. Um, and being in the military, it didn't pay well, I was in there in the 80s. But seeing what these military men and women receive, it's not that much. People think, oh, you in the military, you making a lot of money. No, you're not. You got to get some rank to make some money. A lot of them go back to school because they know that's when you can make some more money or start a business. But just having that job, that's all you get. Look on the GSA schedule. It'll tell you how much servicemen and women make by the ranks. So he needs to go and apply for unemployment compensation, and he also needs to go to the homeless walk-in and let them know that he is homeless. He has nowhere to go, and he's sleeping wherever he can. That's chronic homelessness. Chronic homelessness. Now, I should go back to another story that I was telling you all about, or I could tell you another story. Hmm. This one was, and all of the stories of housing over 5,000 homeless veterans is incredible. I mean, just the way God works and puts me in this beautiful, happy ending. This woman called me, and this was around COVID. Um, uh, was it right after COVID? I think it was right after COVID. And I said, okay, I have a unit for you. Send me your I need your paperwork, or let's meet so I can get your paperwork so we can fill it out and send it over. You've already been approved. Here's some pictures. Okay, so she never went. This was January. She never went. And the owner, he's a veteran, and he's like, Yvette, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But right now, I don't know. I'm still healing from it. I had a heart attack, COVID-19, pneumonia, and a stroke in 36 months. And I'm just coming back, getting back really wind beneath my wings back to work as a consultant now and educator and trainer. So I get a phone call from the VA referring a woman to me. And I said, okay, well, I'll talk to her. And I said, wait a minute, you who, what? I said, you're the one who was supposed to go to this apartment back in January. Why didn't you ever go? Long story. But anyway, um, I called the owner and he said, Yvette, that apartment is still ready. And I put some more furniture in it. I'm like, okay, you go, boy, because she's back and she's ready. So I told her, okay, I'm going to come and get the paperwork now. Where are you? Listen to this part real good. I said, where are you? She says, I'm at PADS, PADS. PADS is a homeless shelter, social service agency that receives funding. Um, I don't know if they receive federal or state, but they receive funding and they have to use that money. So I said, okay, good. You had some place to stay last night. I get there and she had on a big winter coat, and this was in July and it was hot. And I'm like, what are you doing in that coat? She said it was cold out last night. I'm like, where were you? She pointed across the street to pads. I'm like, oh, okay. She said, I'll show you. We have to go across the street. I said, well, get in. And we drove across the street. And she said, you have to come out of the car to walk around the corner to see where I was. I'm like, "Well, you weren't inside the building?" She said, "No." She slept on the concrete outside of the homeless shelter, right where the door is, right here. And it's a ramp for the wheelchairs to go up, and that's where she slept. And all of her bags and suitcases were in the bushes across the walkway. And I said, "Well, how did you get here?" She said the VA driver dropped her off and left. "Why didn't you sleep inside?" She said, "When he dropped me off, everybody was leaving for the day. They were getting off work and they were not returning until 2 days from now." "Well, why didn't you get back in the van to go back to the VA?" He told her he was not going back to the VA. So that's why she had to sleep outside behind a homeless shelter for 2 nights in a row. So the landlord said, "I have that apartment still available." I said, "Well, we'll take it." And I said, "I have her voucher in my hand, but it's going to take, some time for them to start paying you. We need to find a way that she can move in today. So let me find some money." He said, "Okay." I called PADS, first of all, because PADS gets funding. And I'm like, "I have a woman who slept behind your shelter last night, and I need to bring her to you so you can do an intake. She needs some money. She needs some of that homeless veteran funding money." So we did an intake, and they told us it's going to take 3 to 6 weeks. I'm like, "What?" That's how long it's going to take for the voucher. That ain't going to work. So I'm starting to think. I'm like, wait a minute, there's another fund called the Bridge program. What the bridge is the buffer between now and when Section 8 HUD VASH is going to start paying the rent. So I called the social worker, useless. I didn't call her useless, but that's basically, because they don't investigate. They just shut the door right here. They don't open it, they just keep it shut. Um, I said, I said, "We need to use the bridge program because she's homeless with all of her suitcases and bags, and she has nowhere to put all this stuff. And we have an apartment where she can go to right now. I have her moving papers and I'm going to get them filled out. The owner is meeting me and her so he can sign them, and we're going to get them sent into the department today. And she needs to move in today. So ask about." I said, "Do you know about the bridge program?" She said, "No, I don't know about that." I said, "I'll hold on. Um, Go ask your supervisor." Well, we use the bridge program. Useless. Useless. When I say veterans have benefits, we got a lot of benefits. Let me show you. Um, in the Chicago, I'm doing a book just for Chicago. I get so many calls just for Chicago. It is alarming, alarming. So in the Chicago book, we have federal resources, state, local, nonprofits, employment and career support, health and wellness services, community and recreational services, businesses offering military discounts, veteran support organizations, health and wellness services, veteran service organizations, local foundations, and that's it. This is the Chicago Resource Guide. And another thing I put in this resource guide is, you know, um, what you need to know about these resources and the import. Here's one. Local support plays a crucial role in the lives of veterans, especially those at risk of homelessness or experiencing homelessness instability. In a city as vast and diverse as Chicago, the availability of localized resources can make a significant difference in a veteran's journey towards stability and self sufficiency. Local organizations, community groups, and neighborhood initiatives often understand the unique challenges faced by veterans and can tailor those services to meet specific needs. In all of my books, I teach you how to use AI. So, depending on what the veteran need specifically can be identified just that easily. So, I am thrilled that you all are here. I'm not even sure where everybody is. Please tell me where you're from. Let me go back up and see if I missed. If you're still here and I have not answered a question for you, please put it in the chat now and I will. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I have several publications under my publishing company. I'm like, who can do all of this for me? I do it this fast. My book series is called U.S. Military Veterans Educational and Resources Book Series. The first one is collaborative housing solutions for homeless veterans, and this book is for case managers, social workers, human care professionals, like your police and your fire. Okay, and emergency service people, because 911 is not always the answer. It's really not. Finding home is is helping veterans find benefits to utilize resources in whatever area you are in. Here's some resources for Washington, D.C. I got a call from a veteran from Hawaii. Her resources are in here. And I'm like, let me put these in a book so people can understand what you're looking for and how to find it and the importance of having it and all the options that a veteran, like here, unique housing options. HUD VASH, that's your Section 8 voucher, and you have traditional housing programs. Um, no, transitional. I'm like, temporary is not traditional. Transitional housing programs, solutions for veterans. Let me just read it. I'm trying to paraphrase. This description of transitional housing programs, temporary housing solutions that provide veterans with a safe place to live while they transition to permanent housing. Often include support services like counseling, job training, and life skills. Remember, we talked about life skills, not knowing how to find an apartment, not knowing how to get a credit card. I mean, not knowing, period, because you went in when you were 18. And some branches teach you, some don't. If you learn it, you do. If you don't, you're there in the military doing a job. They're not going to pull you over and say, okay, we need to teach you this. No, we need to teach you how to work your job. Typically, transitional housing programs typically has a structured environment to help veterans regain stability. I was at the YWCA for women of domestic abuse, and they really had a phenomenal program. And that's why, a lot of that when I'm thinking about transitional living, how should it look? So a lot of what I went through is in a lot of these books because I went through some havoc being a homeless female veteran of domestic violence. Transitional housing programs designed for short term stays, usually ranging from a few months to 2 years. You can utilize shallow subsidy, grant per diems. Those are funding resources that is used to pay for veteran to stay in these transitional housing programs. And we do consult entrepreneurs who are interested in creating housing solutions for veterans. Then you have supportive housing, the description, and that's in the Finding Home book. And this is on Amazon. Description of supportive housing, permanent housing combined with supportive services for veterans who have disabilities, mental health issues, or substance abuse problems. It features offer on site services such as health care, counseling, and job assistance, focuses on creating a stable living environment while addressing individual needs, aims to promote independence and self sufficiency. Oh, then you have veteran-specific apartment complexes. That's like in your veteran villages, like Volunteers of America with Hope Manor. They build facilities, which are apartments for veterans. Home ownership programs. Let me read that because I am a realtor and I do veterans housing and home ownership workshops. The description of the home ownership programs like VA home loan benefits. That's a benefit where you can use the resource of the money to buy a house that assists veterans in purchasing homes. I just said that. Unique features, no down payment required, and competitive interest rates provides access to a range of financing options tailored for veterans, offers resources for home buyer education to help veterans navigate the process. Then you have roommate programs, co-housing communities, and then chapter 2, it breaks every program down. It breaks down shallow subsidy, it breaks down grants and per diem, and there's also a QR code where you can scan it and it'll take you right there. It breaks down housing first. Is a gentleman still here who asked me about how no about giving a hiring veterans housing first. So that program when I first encountered it, I'm like, it's not going to work. And the reason I say it wasn't a successful program, this is what Housing First is. Approach prioritizing providing stable permanent housing to homeless individuals without preconditions such as sobriety or employment. This model focuses on ensuring housing stability first, followed by supportive services to help veterans address their health, employment, and social needs. The contact resource for this, veterans can access Housing First resources through the National Alliance to End Homelessness or their local VA office to find specific programs available in their community. Housing First. Oh, let me tell you why this program was not as successful as it could be. Housing First, you have veterans who come from all types of homelessness. You have veterans who literally lived under the bridge. You have veterans who lived in Grant Park. I housed a veteran who used to live in Grant Park. You have veterans who live in the forest preserve with 2 gallons of water and a tent. I housed them too. You've got veterans who live in abandoned houses. You've got veterans who live in their cars just trying to make it. And so you have veterans of all walks of life. And all of these veterans need a specific housing type. They all don't need to go to an apartment right away. Some of them, like one gentleman I housed out of the Housing First program, he needed to go in transitional housing where he can learn some skills on what you need to do when you have a house or an apartment or condo because he came from under the bridge and he was one of those veterans who was thank you so much. He was one of those veterans who was comfortable being under the bridge. His comfort showed while he was in their apartment because he took the screen out the screen door and put it on a pot with a hot plate under it and put the screen on top of the pot to cook whatever he was cooking over the pot. And then he used anyway, and he had ketchup and mustard. I mean, everything was just all over the place. And that's why it didn't work because he didn't know how to live in an apartment. And then I would drive up over there to the complex. He would have a sign that says, "Give me some money," something like that. And I'm like, "Okay, dude, you're really, you making it bad for the rest of these veterans who I need to move over here. You can't be doing this." So I called the social worker, another Housing First veteran, we need to talk. And I need to talk to that veteran. So I can address and assess which housing model he goes to or she. I think that's enough for today. I want to thank y'all so much for hanging in there and asking those thought-provoking questions. Can veterans assess housing benefits? Yes. What role? Trauma. I don't want to read that one again. That was traumatic. Thank you for all you do, seen. Oh my, thank you so much. Yeah, it is a lot unseen. And I'm just now talking about, what happens throughout the day. Here, let me see if I went through everything. In this insightful video, we'll delve into the critical issue of veteran homelessness, specifically focusing on the circumstances surrounding the discharge. We talked about that. We'll explore why some veterans find themselves in this challenging situation and life skills that many young veterans lack. Yeah, because they never had an apartment before. Join us as we discuss the experiences of retired veterans who face homelessness. There's a video on the retired veteran who retired after 37 years of service. In his last whatever years, he was active duty. So where do you go to when you're active duty and you retire and you have no home before you went to active duty? So he retired homeless. We're also okay. Then we'll talk about homelessness, shine a light on veterans who have been affected by domestic violence, leading them to a life on the streets. And I don't mean like on the streets, like doing the do for money. No, not like that. But being, just homeless out there. If you could be anywhere. We'll also highlight various subsidies, yeah, resources, benefits available to support these. So go, please, please, please go to Amazon and pick up my publications, Finding Home, and write a review after you read it. Um, the Chicago book, that'll be out soon. Veteran entrepreneurship. You want to house homeless veterans in a program and get paid because the government pays for housing. You know that. And also for case managers, human care professionals, and for realtors. This one I just sent up to KDP to be published today. So hopefully it sends me back an approval. Usually my books get approved the first time. I've got 5 number ones, by the way. Kate, yeah, this is so go get the case manager, social workers, go get entrepreneurship, go get Chicago, if you're in Chicago, go get Finding Home. And I also have some more real estate books on there for veterans who are looking for information. Easy guide book on how to buy a house using your VA anywhere in the country. Just, what do you need to do to prepare yourself for that? All right. Any final questions before we conclude this evening? Thank y'all so much for watching. Oh, I could have shared this too. Oh, man.